So hi everyone, in this video I want to present for you an interesting method of how to learn the core cards in the tarot system. So in this video we will focus on the Netflix series The Vikings, and I hope you watch that series and you know what I'm talking about. And if you did not watch it, please watch it for the sake of learning the court cards. So I will focus on the main leading characters, both males and females, and we will understand to each tarot suit each character is associated with. Now I want to make it clear that we are focusing on the characters and not on the real actors. So in this video I'm using only the kings and the queens. We don't have pages and we don't use the knights. Let's begin with our first character, which is Ragnar Lothbrok. He is the main character of this series, but not the main character in all the episodes, but he's very dominant in this series. So at first, I did not know to which suit to identify Ragnar with. I thought that he can be cups, coins, and swords. And for that, we need to understand what actually motivates our character. Is it greed? Is it thirst for power? Or is it love? So Ragnar is basically an introvert that really cares only for himself. Yes, he loves his children and Athelstan, but he was always thinking of how to benefit his interest. So basically, Ragnar was motivated by a mission that he had to fulfill. Some conquest, some journey, some adventure. He was not thirsty for power and he was not greedy. And obviously, he was not motivated by love, although at the beginning I thought that he is motivated by love, but it's not true. So Ragnar Lothbrok is definitely a king of swords. He was very distant, a loner, a bit cold, and he was only thinking of how to promote his adventures and his mission. So for that, he's definitely a king of swords. So let's move on to his brother Rollo. So Rollo was actually motivated by thirst for power, for status, for revenge. He was very jealous of his brother Ragnar, and all he wanted to do is to be better than Ragnar. So this is very simple. Rollo is the king of wands. He always wants to be the first. He wants to climb the ladder. He wants to have status. He's aggressive. He's revengeful. This is all the characters that are associated with the King of Wands. And we can see that he was very aggressive also with women. He loved Lagartha, but he knew that he cannot be with her. But he got his chance for his stardom. He basically was a duke or a prince when he got married to that French princess. So he eventually climbed up and became a person with a status. He was revengeful, he was full of hate, he wants to do everything to destroy his brother, and he was very competitive. This is the key essence of the King of Wands. They are very competitive. So basically this is Rollo. He's competitive, he's thirsty for power and control, for status, for be better than someone else, and he cannot control his aggression. There is a lot of fire in this person. So let's move on to Athelstan. Athelstan is basically motivated by love. He was very spiritual, he loved his God, he loved his Jesus, and this is what was actually motivating him. And the King of Cups is very spiritual as well. Those are very deep people, they're motivated by spirituality and love. They are not into greediness or they're not thirsty for power. They do not have any mission to fulfill. He was just motivated by his spirituality. So this is basically the key essence of all of the kings and queens. We always need to understand what is motivating the person. And this is how we will understand and figure out what person is sitting in front of us, or what is the person that we're dealing with. So let's move on to Floki. Floki is one of the interesting characters. He's a bit weird, he have some mental issues, and he also a very creative person. So Floki is definitely a king of swords. He is motivated by some idea. The most important thing for him was to bring the gods' tradition, to save the gods' tradition, to save their gods from the influence of Christianity. I mean, he had some mission to fulfill, and he had some conquest and some idea that he was living by. He was also very cold, by the way, because we can see in his relationship with Helga that she's running after him and he's very cold and distant. All he was interested in is building boats and, of course, protecting the tradition of their gods. So we can see the essence of the King of Swords also, that he is the master of his profession. And we also can see that Floki was contributing to the advancement of their society, because building boats is something very important. You can actually travel across the world, you can have adventures, you can do raids, and this is the essence of the swords family. They are doing something to actually contribute to our civilization. They are masters in their field and they are here for some mission and conquest. So now let's move on to my favorite character of all the series, and you will be surprised, but this is King Egbert. King Egbert is my favorite character, and I love his manipulation, his wittiness. I mean, he's really, really smart. So basically, King Egbert is the king of coins, and we can see that he's very manipulative, he's very smart. He will do everything to benefit himself. He will do anything to conquer lands, to get benefits from everything that he's doing. He's very smart. And this is the essence of the King of Pentacles. So basically, King Egbert is living in the here and now. He's living in the material physical world. And he also had some scene in the series where he was praying to God and saying that there is no mercy for him because he is doing the works of the devil, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but he is actually correct, because living in the physical world is requiring for you to, not be love, peace, and light. You have to be down to earth. You have to win, you have to maneuver your ways to get your benefits, to expand. And basically this is what he was doing. He was very smart, he manipulated all the people around him, he knew how to do it, and he got every time whatever he wanted. So I think he's a very fascinating character, one of my favorites. I love his mind games, and he's very, very down to earth and understands how to live in the physical world. So now let's talk about the last character, which is Bjorn. Now Bjorn is actually the most difficult character for me to speak about, because he's not really understood. I don't really understand what is his motive. I only see that he's a person that wants to continue the tradition of his parents. He really loves his parents. His parents are legendary people, and he wants to preserve that tradition. So for that, I can see him as a King of Pentacles. Yes, he's not really manipulative. He's not really the same as King Egbert, but he's very material in a way of tradition. Tradition is something very earthy, very coins like suit. It's something that is associated with the coin suit. So Bjorn for me is a bit misleading, and I want you to actually write in the comments if you know this series. What do you think about Bjorn? Which king is Bjorn? Sometimes I think he's the king of swords, but again, he's not really motivated by some mission or some quest. He doesn't have some idea. He is not really living for some idea. Although, yes, he's very cold, he's very into himself, but still he's like this physically strong person, and physically strong person is really associating with the earth, and he's keeping the tradition of his legendary parents. So in this aspect, I can see him as a king of pentacles, someone who is carrying the tradition of this legendary family, someone who is physically strong, because as you know, no one could actually kill him because he was like protected from the gods. He had this physical strength. He had like this blessing of the coin's suit. And this is basically how I see him. I don't see him as the king of wands because he definitely was not hungry for power. It's not something that was really interesting to him. He was more reserved and traditional and into himself. Like he was fighting the battles, but he was like not really fighting for even some mission. I don't know. He's just different in that way. And we can see also in some episodes that he actually wanted to travel to the Mediterranean, and basically that was very coin like behavior because he was raiding to some new place to get this abundance and to seek treasures basically. So for me, he's a king of pentacles. But again, if you think that he's someone else, please write in the comments. So basically that's it for the kings. In the next video I will talk about the queens.